When was the last time you were truly immersed in a game? And I'm not talking about photorealistic graphics here. I'm talking about that feeling when you get so lost in a game's world that you stop being lucid to reality. That magical feeling of childlike whimsy that only happens once in a blue moon. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe it's been ages since you've had that experience, or maybe you just had it yesterday. Maybe you had it in a modern AAA open world, or maybe you had it in an Atari game. I'm kidding, of course, I know it was Silksong. But as for me, I hadn't felt that way for a long time until a year or two ago, when I played The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D for the first time ever. I had very little experience with the Zelda series prior to that point, so I had no idea what I was doing. I sucked at the combat, I constantly got stuck in the dungeons, and I couldn't wrap my platformer-centric brain around the auto-jump for an embarrassingly long time. Despite my floundering, or perhaps because of it, I couldn't put it down. I was enthralled by Hyrule and its varied locales. So many nooks and crannies to explore, so many mysteries to solve. The low poly count didn't even register in my brain, and if you're a developer like me, you know that's no small feat. And yet, here I was, someone who once thought games couldn't surprise or immerse me anymore, stepping into Link's boots and setting out on my own hero's journey. Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games now. Anyway, when I finally snapped out of that trance, it got me thinking about what other games have given me this magical feeling, and after letting the subject simmer in the back of my mind for a while, I've got a few examples. So with all that said, sit back, relax, and for once, check your pitchfork at the door. This isn't a review or critique or anything like that. This is simply a love letter to the games that feel magical to me. I think most people would agree that Super Mario 64 just has a weird dreamlike quality to it. It's structured and consistent enough to have a sense of place, but it's also unstructured and inconsistent enough for said place to make no sense. I love this game's vibe, and not in a "ooh, liminal space" sort of way. I've never found it unsettling or scary like that. I'm just enamored by its surreal, cobbled together environments. Peach's Castle might be my favorite hub world in any game ever. Every room is unique, so there's always this feeling of anticipation whenever you unlock another door. Like, oh man, I really hope this room has fish in it. Yes! Yes! That said though, Mario 64 has definitely lost its magic on me over time, or at least some of it. There's still a hint of it left that I don't think will ever go away, but with how well understood this game is now, to the point where it's been decompiled and you can put Mario in Gmod, the sense of mystery just isn't really there anymore. However, while the original N64 game may have lost its mojo, the DS version still has it on full display. Super Mario 64 DS is a pretty divisive release, but if there's one thing I hope we can all agree on, it's that the sense of intrigue is just as strong. It may not have quite the same fever dream vibe as the original, but its changes and additions to Peach's Castle only serve to fuel the player's imagination even further. Players in 1996 got to find the secret slide, while players in 2004 got to find what? Where am I? What is happening? What the? I like all the weird signs in this game. There were some pretty good ones in the original, don't get me wrong. It is decreed that one shall pound the pillars. Okay man, sure. But the ones in DS are mysterious to an almost comical degree, like Michael Vsauce wrote them or something. Only if you are the original plumber. What, like the first guy to ever be a plumber? Is he an unlockable character? No matter which version of Mario 64 you play though, the magic is undeniable. For however it may aged, or however overanalyzed it is, or however many people throw their DS out the window when they realize it has a D-pad, its vast, surreal environments and bizarre secrets continue to stimulate players' imaginations. And by players, I mean me. It stimulates my imagination. I like thinking about the fact that Peach has a Mario room with a painting of Mario. Sonic Adventure, man, it's a mess in all the right ways. Immersive would probably be the last word on anyone's mind when thinking of this game, but for me, this is like a second home, or third home. First home's the Whataburger, second home's my house, and third home's Station Square. Yeah. Seriously though, if you've only played this game going from level to level, I implore you to try exploring the adventure fields. They change quite a bit throughout the story, from simple stuff like the time of day to finer details like NPC dialogue. I'm not the first guy to point this out, but it's so cool to me how the background characters all have their own little subplots going on, and they often intersect too. But it's not just the adventure fields that feel magical to me. The action stages give me that feeling too. They're fantastical enough to feel like Sonic zones, but still grounded enough to feel tangible. They're not as abstract abstract as, say, Mario 64's stages, though they definitely have a similar dreamy atmosphere. Plus, as is standard with this franchise, the music is catchy as hell, and fits these environments like a glove. How the zones are integrated with the hub worlds also varies from Mario 64. Instead of magic portals that lead to entirely separate worlds, Sonic Adventure stages are thematically related and organically connected to the adventure fields, which is really commendable for a game this rushed. It makes the world feel all the more interconnected, aiding its sense of immersion. I like to think Mario Sunshine took inspiration from this, but that's just conjecture. Sonic Adventure is one of those vibe games. The characters, the locales, the music, and everything in between all just click for me. Despite my many replays of this game, I still find myself transfixed on Sonic's colorful world every single time. Hey! Do you like watching paint dry? I mean, if you're watching my videos, you probably do, and if that's the case, you gotta try Animal Crossing. You can pull weeds, run people's errands for them, pull more weeds, and go into crippling financial debt. And pull weeds. I don't know how Nintendo managed to make a chore simulator so fun and engaging, but I think the vibe has at least something to do with it. Ported straight from N64 to GameCube, Animal Crossing might have been a contender for the ugliest game of its generation if it weren't for its impeccable style. The solid colors, simple shapes, and adorable character designs, coupled with Totaka's terrific tunes, all contribute to its warm and cozy atmosphere. The game gives you just enough customizability to make its world your own, with different furniture to buy, clothes to wear, and my personal favorite, custom designs. This carries over to the rest of the franchise too. In fact, you really can't go wrong with any Animal Crossing game, except that one. People have their preferences, and every entry has its pros and cons, but they all share the same core philosophies. As for me though, my first experience with the series was New Leaf on the 3DS, and having replayed it not too long ago, wow, even as an adult I can still lose myself in this wonderful game. It takes all the charm from the previous titles and multiplies it exponentially. Putting the player in charge of the town was a great move, giving them more agency and further involving them in the experience. It really makes you feel like feces from your rectum. I've had my phases with pretty much every Animal Crossing game, but New Leaf is by far the hardest for me to put down. Hi, I'm Gen Z, and my generation sucks. But that's okay, because at least I got to hop on the initial Minecraft hype train as a kid. I started on Pocket Edition, then graduated to the console editions for a few years until finally getting my own PC with Java Edition, and every step of that journey solidified my love for the game just a little bit more. I'm not as into the modern versions of the game.
Well, you're so
Shut the fuck up. But to this day, I still find myself coming back to the pre-1.8 versions. They all had such distinct aesthetics. Alpha with its radioactive foliage, Beta with its crazy world generation, and even 1.0 to 1.7 with their more refined takes on the style. No matter which of these I play, I always get sucked in every time. Now, does it ever go past the dreaded 2-week phase? You already know. But man, are those 2 weeks a blast. What I love about Minecraft, and what makes it feel so magical to me, is that the world is yours for the taking. I know, it's a sandbox, go figure, but seriously, the open nature of its mechanics combined with the building system elevate the experience far beyond a simple open world. Creative mode is fun enough, but survival mode makes building so much more of an accomplishment, forcing you to work for your resources. It turns into an addicting feedback loop that I just can't get enough of. Until I do, and I stop playing for several months straight. You know what though? I've grown to accept that. I don't need a forever world to have fun. I can enjoy the game my way, and that's exactly what makes Minecraft so magical. But you know what's better than block game? 2D block game with guns. Terraria has such a strong sense of identity. I actually think it's more sure of itself design-wise than Minecraft, but that's a discussion for another day. Anyway, a 2D game might seem out of place among these immersive 3D experiences, but Terraria just has that secret sauce, man. And they slathered it on too. There's so much character here. NPCs with different personalities and specialties, bosses with ridiculously over-the-top designs, and the weapons. Why did they go so crazy with these? But Terraria's iron grip on my ballsack goes far beyond just gameplay. The visuals and music also enhance the game's atmosphere, and in a very different way than its inspiration. I like Minecraft's vibe, alright? I like the ambient music, I like the blocky environments, and I even like the oof sound from Minecraft. But Terraria, man, look at this pixel art, it's so clean! And the music, dude, at first it's like but then it goes like and then you get to the corruption biome and it's like but then the Eye of Cthulhu spawns in and all of a sudden it's like it's so good. I don't really have a particular point here, but at the same time that kind of is the point. There's no one singular thing that makes Terraria so special. Rather, it's the combination of these carefully crafted elements that give it so much staying power. Are you tired of everyone constantly praising Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door? Well, too bad, because that's what we're doing for the next 2 minutes. Thousand-Year Door was the first game I ever pulled an all-nighter for, just so I can keep playing it. It wasn't the last. I'm usually not an RPG guy, but something was different about this one. I was hooked. Thousand-Year Door is like Dr. Pepper, or crack, or meth, or something, I don't know, I've only tried one of those. Point is, this game is super addictive, and I think a big part of that is its enthralling storytelling and enchanting atmosphere. It's hard to tackle those things separately due to how intertwined they are, so this might sound a bit rambly. Unlike the rest of this video, Thousand-Year Door's locations are incredibly fleshed out, with their inhabitants having pages upon pages of unique dialogue. On top of that, the scenarios that take place in said locations are always a treat, whether you're slaying a dragon or riding a train. One of my favorite chapters is the one where Mario has to become a wrestling champion to earn one of the Crystal Stars. A conspiracy of corruption unfolds as you work your way up the ranks, with the dialogue, environment, and music changing accordingly. You know a game has aura when it manages to make a repetitive battle gauntlet this engaging. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door continues to captivate me to this very day, whether it's the recent remaster or the original GameCube version. Yeah, you saw this coming. It's the game that started this whole adventure, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Regardless of version, be it the original N64 release, the 3DS port, or the fan-made ship of Arcinian, Ocarina glues me to my seat every time I play it. And when I say glue, I'm talking gorilla. Perhaps in a few years' time it'll lose its power on me, but so far that has yet to happen, and I doubt it will anytime soon. When I hear the word magical, I think of this game. The plot is simple, like most Nintendo adventures, but the storytelling is immaculate for a game of this era. It's bursting at the seams with subtext and impactful moments, underscored by Kondo's breathtaking compositions. Ocarina's soundtrack is universally revered, and for damn good reason. Its melodies, most being written with only 5 notes, are worth their weight in gold. There's so much emotion beneath their deceptive simplicity, and many of them will probably resonate with me for as long as I live. The land of Hyrule is immense. Its sheer variety of climates and locales transcends the Nintendo 64's limited hardware. Every location is organically connected, whether it's Hyrule Field, Zora's Domain, or even the dungeons. The NPCs are incredibly charming, with nearly all of them having unique character designs and dialogue. All of this gives the world a firm sense of place. This game seldom breaks its connection with the player, and I think that's why I keep coming back to it. More than any other game, Ocarina of Time never fails to completely immerse me in its world, story, and gameplay. As for Majora's Mask, there. So, what can we learn from all this? I don't know. Seriously though, there's no grand message or thesis to this video. I didn't set out on this journey to challenge a consensus or divine some profound revelation about video games as a medium or anything like that. Honestly, exploring this topic has taught me more about myself than anything. My biggest takeaway is that games don't have to be realistic to captivate me. In fact, rudimentary graphics can make the world feel even more magical. I'm far from the first guy to point this out, but simpler graphics force us to use our imaginations to fill in the blanks. There's a balance, of course. Make it too simple and it's just a bunch of shapes. Make it too realistic and you've entered the uncanny valley. But find that perfect balance and you'll spark players' imaginations, allowing them to lose themselves in the world you've created. I think that's why so many 5th and 6th generation games ended up on this list. The medium poly models and low-res textures hit that balance perfectly. For me, anyway. It's all subjective. Something else that struck me was that this magical feeling doesn't necessarily make or break a game, at least for me. I was worried this video would end up just being a list of my favorite games, but surprisingly only 2 out of my top 5 ended up getting a mention. I think that goes to show that there can be many reasons to enjoy a game, with the quote-unquote vibe being just one of many. To cap this video off, I'd love to hear what games feel magical to you. Leave a comment below sharing your experiences, I'd love to hear them. Stay tuned for more videos, thanks for watching, and as always, enjoy life.